I know you wondering why his face look like that, right? If you want to find out, head over to my channel. And while I'm over there eating my salad, I'm gonna take y'all on a story time of how his face got like that and why the police was responsible for it. Come on, y'all. Come
What's
on over.
going on, guys, and welcome to the channel. As y'all see in the title, we are going to have story time about the man that y'all see in the thumbnail. And I'm going to tell y'all the story about how he ended up being on a 9-day manhunt for multiple murders amongst a bunch of other charges, right? So, while I'm doing that, I am going to be eating my salad. Um, and we're gonna dive right into the story because I don't want to take too much of your time, right? But it's a pretty interesting story. So his name is Markeith Lloyd, by the way, right? I'm gonna just dress my salad up real quick. But his name is Markeith Lloyd, and this story pretty much starts with a 24-year-old woman that was in a relationship with Markeith. They were dating for about 3 months, right? And within that 3 months time frame, she ended up moving in with Markeith and getting pregnant by Markeith. So everything was going good. They was expecting their first child. They had just met. They moved in together. Everything was moving pretty fast. Markeith had met the family. Everything was going pretty good. So their parents got a call from her one day saying that she was leaving Markeith and that she would be moving back home. She didn't really get into much details as to why she was going to be leaving him, but she did mention that her and Markeith got into a physical altercation and she just didn't quite feel comfortable around him any longer. So she moved back in with the parents, right? Her and her two younger children. And their unborn child. So one day, today, her two brothers, her mother, and her two children were sitting down having dinner. This was at like 9 o'clock at night. They were sitting down, they was having dinner, and so they got a text from Markeith asking if they could talk. So Markeith met her at her parents' house where her and her family was having dinner, right? So she go outside. So she go outside to talk to Markeith, and while she's out there, her two brothers hear an altercation. So the brother rushed to the door and he see his sister laying on the ground suffering from gunshot wounds. At that point, Markeith seen that the brothers is out there, the mother is out there, and now he's shooting at the porch where they all standing at. Uh, he peels off in the car that he was in. They end up calling the police. The police come and they find 11 shell casings leading from the porch to Markeith's car from a 40 caliber handgun. They find a 9 millimeter gun that was left at the scene that was not fired. Um, and Sade is now deceased. Mind you, she's 3 months, 2 months pregnant, if I'm not mistaken. Her brother is shot. He's unresponsive. It's just a bad situation. And Markeith is gone. So now is a warrant out for Markeith's arrest for the murder of Sade. I believe I'm saying her name correct. I hope I'm saying her name correct. It's either Sade or Sade. But Markeith now have a warrant for the murder of Sade, the murder of their unborn child, and the attempted murder of her brother. So Markeith is on the run for about 2 weeks or so, and nobody had any leads as to where Markeith is. He basically just off the radar. So one night, we have Officer Clayton. She's in Walmart. She's buying her groceries. She's about to start her shift, right? She check out, goes out to her car, and then a customer comes up to her and tell her, "Hey, I just spotted the guy that's wanted for the murder of Sade. He's in Walmart right now at self-checkout." So the Officer Clayton, she put her bags down and she rushes inside the Walmart, where she then confronts Markeith. And she demands him to get on the ground. And Markeith took off running. But he didn't go too far. He just ran outside and took cover behind a post and then began shooting at this police officer. The first shot he shot struck her and she fell to the ground. She did return fire, but he wasn't hit. Markeith then went and stood over top of her and shot her in her neck. Another officer pulled up and started shooting at Markeith, but Markeith had already got his car and peeled off. So he rushed over to the officer, where it was a Walmart employee that was there by this police officer's side. And I'll include her interview, the Walmart employee interview video, to kind of give a little better context clues of how the scenery was.
Seen him pull his gun out, and they were shooting at each other like a Western movie. Miss Deborah, I want to say, let off about 6 to 7 shots. I don't know exactly. It was crazy that morning. And Mr. Markeith pretty much was trying to unload his gun on her. He was really trying to get rid of her, like it was something personal. And then all of a sudden, I see Miss Deborah fall. I guess that's when she must have called, "I got shot" or something on her radio, on her walkie-talkie. She was on her back. And as I got ready to run over there, Markeith Lloyd just kept shooting at this lady while she's on the ground. So I'm looking at her body literally jumping off the ground from bullets, of course. He's unloading. He shot at her at least 5 or 6 more times as she's on the ground. Nerves were so bad I couldn't even put my code in my phone, the code, to try to dial out anything. That's how bad I was shaking. I'm standing over her and I'm telling her to calm down. I'm telling her, hold on. She's looking at me, and all I knew was to pray for her. And I just kept praying. I seen the bullet hole right here in her neck. I seen it right there. I didn't see any other wounds.
So again, Markeith is now on the run for his third murder. Mind you, Markeith had already been charged for murder back in, I believe, 95. This case happened in 2017, but he was already charged for a murder dating back to 95, where he was found not guilty, only because it was a mix-up in the legal system to where so he kind of got off the hook. So now he's a wanted man for killing his child's mother, his unborn child, the attempted murder of her brother, and now you just killed a police officer. So you turned the heat up pretty high. So they were looking for him, right? In the process, the day that Officer Clayton was shot and killed, another officer that was en route to her on a motorcycle, was struck by a hit and run, or struck by a driver in a hit and run collision. Now, this officer would unfortunately lose his life. It was suspected that Markeith probably hit the officer. The officer probably tried to stop Markeith. Markeith probably tried to, take off or elude the officer and end up killing the officer. But they didn't have enough evidence to charge Markeith for it, because he wasn't, it was like no cameras around, no witnesses. So he wasn't charged for that murder. But he did have the warrant for the other 3 murders. So now the manhunt starts for Markeith times 100, because now he had killed one of their own, right? So they end up getting the lead that Markeith is hiding in this abandoned house. So they suit up and they go to this house. And when I say suit up, I mean they had, I don't know if y'all seen when they raided Diddy house, but that's how they came. They had tanks, they had choppers, they had marked cars, they had unmarked cars, and a countless amount of law enforcement. So they surround the house. I mean, they at the front door, they at the back door, the side door. Markeith tried to escape. I believe he tried to go through like the back door, the side door, but the house was already surrounded at that point. There was nowhere for him to go. So he threw 2 handguns outside, came to the door, and he threw 2 handguns outside. And that's when they noticed that Markeith himself was just as in armor as they was. He had on gloves, he had on vests, you know, he was prepared, or seemed to be prepared, to go to war. Mind you, he had made statements before about him not going back to jail without a fight. So they pretty much thought that it was going to be a war right there in that residential area between police and Markeith, which was expected, considering the facts, right? So he threw his 2 handguns out the door, and they instruct him to crawl out to the curb, which he did. He crawled out to the curb. Once they got close enough to him, they used force that they deemed was necessary. It was 3 officers that kicked Markeith in the face a total of 5 times. They punched Markeith in the face another total of 5 times. And then they also admitted to using the muzzle of their rifles to hit him a total of about 5 times in the face. And I'm able to give those numbers because those officers had to explain every hit and give their reason for the force that was used. Because like I said, the choppers was out, the cameras was out, so they caught everything. And I'll insert that video, if I can, of when they finally arrested Markeith.
Police officers went as far as kicking Lloyd and using the end of a rifle to hit Lloyd in the face and back. Lloyd is now permanently blind in one eye.
I'm defending myself.
You're going to defend yourself pro se.
But the investigation concluded that the officers were justified in using that deadly force on Lloyd.
The force that they used, they felt as though was necessary. So they get Markeith to the police station. They go through the whole process of like questioning him and everything like that. But they had enough evidence to arrest him. So they arrested him right there on the spot. And something that they did that I was like, was a good moment, a good feeling moment, was they used the officer that he killed handcuffs to arrest him. So, even though she wasn't able to arrest him that day in that Walmart parking lot, that a part of her was still there, and a part of the process of him facing his justice, right? So they lock him up and go on trial, and his first trial that he stood for was the murder of his children's mother and that unborn child. His defense was that he was in warrior mode. So I remember I told y'all that a gun was found on the scene, which I couldn't find any reports that denied that it was her gun or confirmed that it was her gun, which kind of leads me to the assumption that it might have been her gun. But if she know that he's been locked up for murder in the past, she know the altercation that they was in, and I'm pretty sure that probably wasn't the first time. And she was already worried about going outside to meet him, so she probably grabbed her gun. I don't think that's, too far-fetched. But the gun wasn't fired. Like the detectives on the scene said, the gun was never fired. So for him to shoot a 40 caliber handgun 11 times and you was not shot at not one time, I don't see how that puts you in warrior mode. It would justify the force that was used from you, But they ended up convicting him, 2 life sentences, and that defense that they used as far as that handgun that was found, it didn't work, So he went on trial, had a second trial for Officer Clayton. And his defense used the defense of him being insane at the time that he killed this police officer. Now they called in medical professionals and stuff like that, and they did determine that he was insane at the time of the trial. Like when they checked him right then and there and did whatever evaluations they did, he was considered legally insane. But prior to that, he wasn't on any type of medication. He'd never been classified as insane before. And you can kind of tell the switch in demeanor when he went to that second trial. Because his first trial, he was cool, he was calm, he was collective. When he went to the second trial for the police officer, he's in there talking to himself. Like he's playing a role, if you ask me, to be an insane man. Which is kind of not hard to, do. So he's in there playing his role. And it worked to the point that they did classify him as legally insane, right? But that didn't stop the justice system at all, because Markeith was still found guilty for the murder of that police officer that he shot and killed in that Walmart parking lot, and he received the death penalty. They tried to get his death penalty overturned because it was like a mix-up in the jury or something like that, which they admitted to it, but they said that it wasn't enough to overturn his sentencing. So he still was on death row. But what they did do for him was they gave him the option at the time that he received his lethal injection. They were either going to play him a slideshow of pictures of the police officer that he killed, or he can have music being played. And he chose music because he said he didn't want to have, that representation of that police officer. I wouldn't have gave him the option. He would have got the slideshow of the police officer, of his children's mother, sonogram pictures of his unborn child, pictures from the murder that he did back in '95, pictures from the police officer that was involved in a hit and run found on the side of the road. He would have had to sit and watch all of those pictures while he waited for that medication to kick in and he slowly drifted to sleep forever. Now, I know it's a pretty crazy story. Y'all let me know what y'all think of it. Y'all think he got what he deserved? Are y'all against the death penalty? And let's talk about it in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's different layers to the channel. We have a podcast, we have videos like this. We just have a whole lineup. The channel is definitely a vibe. So if you feeling the story, or if you feeling any other content that's on the page, go ahead and subscribe. Like this video, drop a comment, and let's talk about it. All right? And I'll see y'all on the next video. Oh, that's a lot of onion. That's too much onion. I'll see y'all on the next video or for my next meal. But I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all the next time. Y'all still here? If you is, you might as well go ahead and subscribe, and like it, and comment on it. You know that good stuff. Alright, bye for real this time.